Hello students, welcome to Umadevi Children Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the 16 group of element properties and the dioxygen and ozone property. Right students?
Reactivity with hydrogen. So all the species oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium all are react with hydrogen. So react with hydrogen to form general formula Et EH2E. H2E. E means this element. Right students? Okay students, the next is here the acidic character. So when it react with the hydrogen, oxygen, selenium, sulfur react with hydrogen, they are showing the acidic characters of hydrogen. So acidic character of hydrogen increases from water to He2E, H2Te. So water having the less acidic than hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is less acidic than hydrogen selenium. Hydrogen selenium is less acidic than hydrogen tellurium. Right. So increase acidic character in terms of decrease the bond enthalpy. So why these acidic characters are exhibiting? The look at here students. This is the H2O and the next is the sulfur, selenium, and the last one is the tellurium. Right students. So when you compare here, the central atom size goes on increase here because increase the atomic number, the size of the central atoms are increases here, right? So that's why the hydrogen atoms are weakly held with these species. Hydrogen atom weakly held with these species. So tellurium is so weakly held with the hydrogen, so it is more easily release the hydrogen. It is more easily release the hydrogen ion. Hydrogen ion as compared to selenium hydride. Selenium hydride is more easily release the hydrogen ion as compared to sulfur hydride. Sulfur hydride more easily release the hydrogen as compared to the water. Water is a smaller size because it is strongly held with the hydrogens. So that's why it is acidic character is very less. It will not easily release the hydrogen. Right students? So size of the atom increases, the bond enthalpy dissociation is decreases down the groups. Right students? Thermal stability of hydride, which one is more stable here? So stability is also decreases from hydrogen to polonium because of the central atom size goes on increases, the covalent bond of hydrogen atom decreases, the strength decreases here, right? Same property, same point students. So here also thermal stability, when you compare the oxygen and sulfur hydride, when you compare here the bond length is small, bond length is large here. So when you heat these both species, when you heat this one and this one, this is more easily dissociated. It is easily dissociated because the central atom size is the large, and it is the dissociation require high temperature because the bond length is small. Bond length small, strength high. Bond length large, strength is weak. That's right. So the central atom, the hydrogen atom which bonded to the larger size of the atoms which having the less strength. One more character, reducing character of hydride. All the hydride except of water possess the reducing property. So reducing property, tellurium shows higher reducing property than hydrogen selenium. Hydrogen selenium shows higher reducing property than hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide shows higher reducing property than water. So decrease thermal stability, increase the reducing property. So thermal stability decreases, thermal stability decreases, the reducing properties are increased. So it means, so here the thermal stability is less. As less temperature, hydrogens are dissociated from the tellurium, so it is more reducing property. At high temperature, it releases the hydrogen, so it is a high thermal stability, less reducing property. Right students?
Afterwards, the reactivity with oxygen, all the all these element from the oxide EO2, EO3. E stand for element. E stand for element, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium, etc. So it forms ozone, sulfur dioxide, selenium dioxide, etc. Right, students? So here, students, the reducing property of dioxide decrease SO2 to TO2. The SO2 which acts as a strong reducing agent, then SeO2. SeO2 acts as a strong reducing agent, then TeO2. The sulfur dioxide is a strong reducing agent. How it acts as strong reducing agent? Look at here, students. One example. SO2 react with chlorine to form SO2Cl2. So here in this case the sulfur oxidation state is +6. When it forms the sulfuryl chloride, this is the sulfuryl chloride. Sulfuryl chloride oxidation state is +6. So it means the here oxidation state increases. It means it acts as a reducing agent. Right, students? So beside that, the sulfur, selenium, tellurium in the form of E2, EO3 like SO3, SeO3, TuO3 all are acidic nature. How they are active acidic nature? When SO3 react with water to form H2SO4, CO3 react with water to form H2SeO4. That's right. So these are the acidic nature. Sulfuric acid, selenium acid, these are the acidic nature. Right, students? Reactivity towards halogen. The 16 group of elements are react with halogen, form hexafluoride, hexahalides, tetrahalides and dihalides. Oxygen forms only dihalides, but remaining the sulfur, selenium, tellurium, these forms the hexahalide as well as the tetrahalides, and the dihalide also forms. Right, students? Look at here, dihalides, tetrahalides and hexahalides. The stability of the halogen decreases. Fluorine is more stable than chlorine, chlorine is more stable than bromine, bromine more stable than iodine. Why the stability decreases? Because of the increasing size. Because of increasing size. Iodine size large, so it is less stable. Fluorine size small, it is more stable. So here when you compare here, selenium difluoride is more stable than selenium difluoride. Selenium difluoride than tellurium difluoride. Similarly, sulfur hexafluoride is more stable than selenium hexafluoride. Selenium hexafluoride is more stable than tellurium tetrafluoride. Right. So all the hexahalide, among all the hexahalides, hexafluorides only the stable. It attain the +6 oxidation state. That it is small size and it completely attain the +6 oxidation state. So that's why it is the most stable. Hexafluorides are the most stable. Hexafluorides are in gaseous nature. Why? Because the intermolecular forces are weak. Due to the weak intermolecular forces are weak. So that's why they are in gaseous nature. The structure is hexafluoride. Exceptionally, the less steric region. Less steric means that it is stable and less steric. It means the hexafluorides are there. So here it is less stable because it is a +6 oxidation state, and steric region means there is no force, there is no repulsions here from one fluorine to the next fluorine. So there is the steric region, means the repulsion is weak here. So that's why it is. The tetrafluorides, among all the tetrafluorides, sulfur tetrafluoride is a gaseous nature, selenium tetrafluoride is a liquid nature, tellurium tetrafluoride is a solid nature. Why? Because the central atom size increases, van der Waals force of attractions are size increases, van der Waals force of attractions also increases. So due to the van der Waals force of attractions, they are the changes the state.
So it means the selenium tetrafluoride which having the high van der Waals of attraction, then selenium tetrafluorides. Selenium tetrafluoride having the high van der Waals of attraction, then the sulfur tetrafluorides. Right, students? So it is sp3 nature. It is sp3 dehybridization and structure is trigonal bipyramid. So look at here. So this is the S, P, X, Py, Pz, and this is D. So sp3 dehybridization this is, right, students? So this pair of electrons is s orbitals, and it is a trigonal bipyramid. Trigonal. This is a one trigonal. Right. This is the sorry. This is a trigonal. Here the trigonal. This is a trigonal. 3 sulfur is a trigonal. Bipyramidal means this is one pyramid. Top one pyramid with lone pair of electron with 3 fluorine, one pyramid. This is the first pyramid, and bottom 3 fluorine with bottom of the fluorine with this is the second pyramid. This is the second pyramid. Right, students? This geometry also regarded as the seesaw geometry. Whatever geometry we have seen, that is we called seesaw geometry. All the element except of oxygens, dichloride, dibromide, these halide form sp3 hybridization, have a tetrahedral structure. So the well-known monohalide dimeric nature. Example: SeF2, Se2ACl2, Se2Br2, Se2Cl2, Se2Br2. Right. So dimeric halide undergoes a disproportion reaction. So here you can look at here. So here the selenium is there. The selenium we are showing the different oxidation state here, students. Right, different oxidation state here. So here in the single reaction it's showing the different oxidation state. Here it's showing the +2 oxidation state, and here it's showing the +4 oxidation state here, and here it is 0. Right, students, this is the +2, +4, and 0.
Dioxygen. The dioxygens are prepared in the laboratory by using the chlorate, nitrate, and permanganate. One of the example is chlorate here. So potassium chlorate on heating to form potassium chloride and the 3 moles of oxygens. Right, student? This is the one method. Next is the second, thermal decomposition. The thermal decomposition of the metal oxide. Silver oxide releasing oxygen, lead oxide releasing oxygen, mercury oxide releasing oxygen, and the thermal decomposition of lead oxide to releasing oxygen. All the metal oxides on heating liberate the oxygen. Similarly, the hydrogen peroxide. Here the hydrogen peroxide in which we are adding the manganese oxide catalyst, MnO. So students, like this, the hydrogen peroxide H2O2 in which we are adding the manganese oxide catalyst to form the H2O plus liberation of oxygen. Right, students? On large scale, it can be prepared by the water or air. The electrolysis of the water leads to releasing the hydrogen at the cathode and the oxygen at the anode. Already we know that the electrolysis of water, I think in your lower class you already studied this one. Here, so electrolysis of water in which the oxygens are moved at the anode, and the hydrogens are moved toward the cathode here. This is our method. Right, students? Okay, industrial method. The first, removing the carbon dioxide and vapor. Then the remaining gases are liquefied as a fractional distillation to give the dinitrogen and dioxygens. So here we are using the industrial method. The industrial method in which we are using we have to using the carbon dioxide and the water. Industrial method. Industrial dioxygen is obtained by the air. Obtained from air. The air which contain the nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapors, etc. So in which the fractional distillation and liquefied to form the dinitrogen and dioxygen. These are one of the methods. So these are all the industrial methods, students. Here we are discussing the very short term we are discussed here. Properties of dioxin: it is a colorless, odorless gas. The solubility, the 3.08 centimeter cube dissolved in a 100 centimeter cube of water at the normal temperature and pressure. It liquefies at 90 Kelvin and freezes at the 55 Kelvin. That's right. So and next, the oxygen atom has the 3 stable isotopes. Oxygens are available in the atomic mode. 3 stable isotope: oxygen 16 atomic mass, oxygen 17 atomic mass, oxygen 18 atomic mass. So molecular oxygen O2 is unique and paramagnetic in spite it having the number of electrons. So O2 having the paramagnetic in nature. Why it is paramagnetic? Because the oxygen which contain 1s2, 2s2, properties of dioxygen. So it is a colorless, odorless gas. The solubility, the 3.08 centimeter cube dissolved in 100 centimeter cube of water. So if you are using the 100 centimeter cube of water, the 100 centimeter cube of water, 100 centimeter of water in which the 3 centimeter cube is the oxygen is soluble, and it liquefies at 90 Kelvin, freeze at the 55 Kelvin. Oxygen atom has a 3 stable isotopes: oxygen 16, oxygen 17, oxygen 18. It means 16 atomic number of oxygen, 17 atomic number of oxygen, 16 atomic mass of oxygen, 17 atomic mass of oxygen, and 18 atomic mass of oxygen. So molecular oxygen O2 is a unique paramagnetic in spite of having the number of electrons. So I will show you, student. Last year we have discussed the bonding and anti-bonding here. So this is the method. So in this, when you look up this, the molecular orbital theory, in this molecular orbital theory it contains 2 unpaired electrons. Due to the 2 unpaired electrons in the pi 2pz1, pi 2py1 unpaired electron, so that's why due to the unpaired electron, this we called as a paramagnetic in nature. Right, students? It is a paramagnetic in nature, right? Okay. Chemical property: dioxygen is the directly react with the all metals, non-metals except of some metal like gold and platinum, because these are the noble element. Right, students? Noble element. Excuse me. This is a noble element. The noble metals. Right, students? Noble metals and some noble gases. And some combination of the other element, often strongly exothermic, help the sustaining reaction. It combine strongly with the metal, right? And it is strongly exothermic in nature. For example, when it react with the Fe2O3 form or the Ag2O, it is strongly attract with the metals here. Strongly attract with the metal, and it is exothermic in nature. So initiate the reaction, the heating is required. The bond dissociation of the oxygen-oxygen double bond is high, the 493.4 kilojoule per mole. Some reaction of dioxygen with metal, non-metal, and the other compound given below here. So calcium is a metal, react with oxygen to form calcium oxide. Aluminum react with oxygen to form aluminum oxide. Metal, the non-metals, carbon, phosphorus, these are the non-metal, react with oxygen to form phosphate and the carbon dioxide. Some compound, another compound like the zinc sulfate, methane, these all also react with to form the zinc oxide, carbon dioxide, water, etc. Right, students? Uses of dioxygen: it is most important for the respirations for all the living organisms. Right, students? It is used as the oxyacetylene in a welding purpose. It is used in welding purpose as a oxyacetylene. In the manufacture of many metals, and particularly steel. Oxygen is cylindrically or widely used in the hospital, high altitude flying, and the mountaining. It is a mountaining, students. Mountaining. Make correction here, spelling correction. It is a mountaining. So oxygens are used for the respiration purpose. We are using oxygens are used as a oxyacetylene as a welding purpose, and the oxygens are used in the hospitals to क्या बोलते हैं use of dioxygen. The oxygen is most important for the all the living organisms for the breathing purpose. Oxygens are used in welding purpose as a oxyacetylene form. Oxygens are widely used in the hospital. The person who has suffering from the breathing or the while the operating the persons, the it is the we are they are the hospital in hospital they are applying the oxygens. And high altitude, the person who was living or the moving toward the high mountain, the at the height of the mountain the oxygen concentration less, so at that purpose the person has carrying the at high mountain, while climbing the mountain he carrying the oxygen. Right. So it is used in the combustion as a fuel, as a hydrogen in liquid. Hydrogen means students like this H2N triple bond NH2. This is the hydrogen, right? So this is the combustion for a fuel purpose it is used. It provides the tremendous thrust. Thrust means the thrust in rocket. It means the liquid these oxygens are helpful for the push the rocket in upward directions. Right, students? So next is the simple oxide. The binary oxide is a simple oxide. The oxygen with the other element we call as the oxides. Oxygen with metal, oxygen with non-metal, oxygen with the metalloids we call as the oxides. Generally we call as oxides. Right, students? So what about oxides are there here? So oxides are magnesium oxide, aluminum oxides, lead oxide, iron oxide. So oxides are classified as here the acidic oxide, basic oxide and the amphoteric oxides. First one, acidic oxide. Acidic oxide means the oxides of non-metal. Oxides of non-metal combine with water to give acids. For example, student, SO2 is a sulfur is a non-metal. Cl2O7 in which Cl is the non-metal, carbon is the non-metal, nitrogen is non-metal. All are non-metals. So oxides of non-metal. These all are oxides of non-metal when you are treated with water molecules to form acid. For example, SO2 react with H2O to form H2SO3, sulfonic acid. Right, friends? So here the rule is the formation of the acidic oxide we need non-metals. Similarly, basic oxide. The basic oxide, some metal, the oxides of some metal, high oxidation state also have the acidic characters. Basic character. And like this MnO2, delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Delta G is negative, T delta S is positive, then delta G also negative. Delta G negative. Delta G negative means the reaction is the spontaneous reactions. Right? So delta G, the last negative, delta G value is the spontaneous reactions. So it acts as a powerful oxidizing agent. So lead sulfate react with ozone to form lead sulfate and oxide. Potassium iodide react with water and ozone to form iodide. So here iodide I minus, here I minus turns into I. Right. So it means the here students in the potassium iodide dissociate to form the K plus and the I minus. Right. K plus and I minus. And here the if you are using 2 moles, it is 2 moles and this is also 2 moles. 2 moles of iodide ion, 2 moles of iodide ion, 2 moles of iodide ions which is and react with the H2O and O3, H2 and O3 to form the I2 and 2OH minus and O2. This one oxygen atom react with here, and what are the two electrons are there? Two electrons are accepted by the hydrogen group, that's why 2H minus. Finally, this K plus, this 2K plus react with this 2H minus to form the 2KOH. Right, students? So it means the ozone here oxidizes iodide ion to iodine molecules. Right, students? So one more of the best example here, this method is the quantitatively we determine the ozone. Quantitative method to determine the quantitative method. This is the one of the most important method. Many times in examination it will ask students explain the quantitative method to determine the quantitative method to determine estimating the ozone molecules. So it means, students, for oxidizing purpose, how much amount of ozone we need? You want to calculate how much amount of ozone we need. So that is we have to calculate here. For first step 1, O3 turns into O2 and O. So here, when in this potassium, this is the beaker. In this beaker I am using potassium iodide K plus I minus, in which I am adding the ozone molecules. This is the potassium iodide and this is the ozone, right? So then what happens, students? When ozone dissociates to form oxygenated nascent oxygen, these nascent oxygens are react with the potassium iodide here. Then we are adding the small amount of H2SO4 because to remove the water content it acts as a dehydrating agent. Then the iodide turns into iodine molecules, right, and form H2O and KH2O4 like this. Potassium iodide dissociates to form K plus and I minus. Right, students? And the in which we are adding the ozone with the H2SO4 to form here H2SO4. H2SO4 in which it dissociated as the 2H plus and SO4 minus. So H ion cannot react with the oxygen atom here. H cannot react with oxygen, so that's why if here is the 2 potassium iodide, 2 potassium and 2 iodide, these 2 electron, the iodide are releasing the 2 electron to this hydrogen, and this hydrogen react with oxygen to form H2O, and this sulfate react with potassium to form potassium sulfate. Right, students? Understood? Okay, once again I will tell you, the potassium iodide dissociated from the potassium and iodine K plus and I minus, right, and K plus and I minus. So 2I minus to form the I2 and releasing 2 electrons. H2SO4 dissociate to form 2H plus SO4 minus. Students, so 2H plus and this 2 electron and nascent oxygen O to form H2O, right, and K2SO4 is formed here, right, students? So these reactions are formed here in this reaction. Then finally, so when the ozone react with the potassium iodide in a beaker, the excess amount, it is an excess amount. So then, students, what happened here? Some potassium iodides remains in the conical flask, and some are turns into I2. How we will determine? Because it is the liberating yellow color. Because it is liberating the yellow color, this yellow color indicates that the iodine is liberating. right? Excess amount from which the small amount of iodine molecules are liberated, which indicating the yellow color. Yes, friends. So it means this solution becomes yellow color. This is the yellow color solution. Yellow color solution. This is indicating the I2 molecules along with Ki also present here. Right. So these solutions are titrated with the potassium sulfate. Potassium sulfate Na2S2O3. Na2S2 potassium thiosulfate here. Na2S2O3. Then what happened here? If we determine the how much amount of the potassium thiosulfate required to neutralize the potassium iodide, the amount of X amount of potassium sodium thiosulfate required to neutralize the X or Y, anything, Y amount of the potassium iodide. After this process, you want to know that how much amount of iodine molecules are liberated from Ki. We want to determine how much amount of iodine molecules are liberated from Ki. How it liberated? With the help of ozone. With the help of ozone, right? Or you may write like this: the Ki liberating the iodine molecules. So it here it is the 100 ml and it is the 10 ml. 10 ml of iodine is liberated with the help of ozone. It means the ozone oxidizes how many amount of the iodine? That is 10 ml. Iodine is oxidizes. 10 ml of iodine molecule oxidized by the ozone molecules out of 100. The potassium iodide I am using here, potassium iodide is 100 ml. Out of 100 ml, only 10 mole of iodine molecule is liberated. Right? 10 mole of iodine molecule liberated means the 10 mole of iodine molecules are liberated here, and these solutions are kept here, titrate. Again 10 moles of iodine molecule, again they react with the sodium to form the sodium iodide. Again they are reduced here. Right? So 10 moles here also. 10 moles of iodine molecule, again they tends into the 10 moles of iodine. This is the quantitative method we are determining with help of ozone. Right, students? Okay. So similarly, one more experiment is there here. The nitrogen oxide estimated the exhaust system, the supersonic jet aeroplane might be the slow depleting the concentration of ozone layer upper atmosphere. So here the one more the experiment is there here. The ozone layer, the nitrogen oxide is emitted from the exhaust of the jet aeroplane and slowly depleting the concentration of the ozone layer in the upper atmosphere. So this is the one experiment. This is also one of the quantitative experiment. So what are the planes, aeroplane, jet, rockets are there? They're emitting the exhaust. Through the exhaust, the how much amount of the ozone is depleted, we have to calculate by the same methods. The another threat to that ozone layer is probably posed by the freons, which are used for the aerosol spray and the refrigerant. So one more threat is there. It is not fact, I think it's the myth. So ozone layers is also used in the freons. Freons is the one type of the hydrocarbon, students. Freons is the type of the hydrocarbons. So it is used in the aerosol and spray and the refrigerant. So it is used as a cooling purpose, or you may say refrigerant, right? It is used as a refrigerant. So freon means, students, CCS2 CF2. So sorry. CCl2 F2, chlorofluorocarbon called as a freons. Chlorofluorocarbon CCl2 F2, that is freons. Right. The two oxygen atom bond length of the ozone molecule is identical. 128 picometer, because the resonance are attained between the two. Either you compare here, it is from 128, and this one also 128, because the resonance are attained here, resonance molecule. So this pair of electrons are shifted here, and these are shifted here like this, or this pair of electrons try to shift here, then it is shifted here. So ozone, right friends? And the ozone is the uses. Ozone used as a dermicide, germicide, disinfecticide, the sterilizing water, purification of water purpose, and the bleaching of oil. All those things purpose the ozones are used here. Right friends?